This video series is so fun to do, but I don't know what I've gotten myself into at all. Alright, here we are doing a plus 18 Tyrannical DOS. Definitely going to be one of the harder keys that we've tried to do on a Keystone adventure video. You can see my talents over the top left. The only one really worth mentioning is that I took Feral Affinity, even though I'm Night Fae, which usually you'll see Night Fae players take Balance Affinity. But because I am going to probably guess that we're going to be using a lot of our Convokes in order to do healing rather than damage, I went Feral Affinity. And that is just because when you go Balance Affinity, you want to pretty much use every single Convoke for damage, and I just don't think we're going to be able to do that. I don't think it's very realistic. So Feral Affinity gives us a little more flexibility in like how we use our Convoke, because we can use it for healing, or like if we're sitting here and there's not much healing to do, I can just sit here and use it, Cat Convoke for it. So, but when you play Balance Affinity, you lose a lot of damage like every time you don't use Convoke for DPS in balance form, because that's where most of its damage comes from. And I'm the only Night Fae, so that's also why we're playing Night Fae instead of Necrolord, for other people who might be curious. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the urn now. Yeah, just a tiny bit too early, so we're gonna get a rage here. Oh yeah, we pull this entire pack now, actually. I didn't even think about that. That's not good. I'm in a lot of trouble. That's my fault. I completely spaced out about that. Oh, we all make mistakes, right? Like they're holding on. All they have to do is kill the mask. If they kill the mask, like, we're good. They just killed the mask. So it's definitely still doable. Wow, what a recovery. Wait. I don't even think... Oh, man. What's happening? I don't even think we need to use... yeah, we'll just use a healer Convoke. Fine. Make sure the tank's nice and healthy. I'll just use Flourish here, just because... stabilize us a little bit. Nature Swiftness and Regrowth on the Rogue. Cat form here and do some damage. Hots on the tank again. Stampeding Auroras through this, and then I can Night Fae Blink at the end. Always precast a res here, a mass res, just in case anyone dies in the maze. Or not the maze, the hallway. Thinking of Mist. Try to get some initial damage going. The difference from this Keystone Adventure, by the way, compared to the last one, is I'm lower item level, I'm 221, but we took 2 legendaries, so I think it makes sense to take 2 legendaries instead of only doing 1. Let me know what you guys think, like which one you find more entertaining, but I figured me actually running like a realistic build, just as low eye level as possible, is more ideal, because it gives you guys a better representation of, like, you know, you can essentially use the same build I'm using just with better eye level. But when I only run 1 legendary, it like kind of changes things up a little bit with like how I play or what covenant I am or things like that. So I figure running 2 legendaries gives us more... It makes the, you know, I don't know, it just, the video appeals more to people. because it's something that you can compare and contrast with rather than just like, oh man, this guy's handicapping himself as much as he possibly can, or crippling himself rather, and still trying to time a key. And that's not really the intention of this series. It's more of, I'm trying to show that these keys can be done no matter what your eye level is. If you just play, it's more about gameplay than anything. Here I was too busy talking, but there we pulled 3 hatchlings, and that was very, very dangerous because there's no way that a pug group interrupts all of them. So I just literally sat there and swapped targets on each of them. That's why my camera was all awkward and funky like that up in the air, is because I was making sure I could see both of their nameplates, so I could just freely swap back and forth between the 2 hatchlings that still were healthy and just spam hibernate on them over and over. And I can just permanently interrupt 2 hatchlings by myself. If the third one was at the same HP, I wouldn't be able to keep all 3 of them interrupted. But since the first one died really early and then there was only 2 left, we just spam hibernate those 2. Here we can definitely weave in some damage, go stealth, give the tank a stampeding roar so you can get around a little easier. Open up on the Elder Horn here with a rake and a rip. And then we'll apply some dots, some sunfire, and then gonna iron bark the tank here. And then as the iron bark's expiring, that's when I'll pop the urn. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, and now we'll pop the urn because we obviously don't want the urn to overlap with Sanguine on the floor. So I do need to pop it a little bit early. Reapply sunfire, and then we just spam swipe here. We don't even use our combo points. I don't think it's worth it. I don't know the exact like theory behind it, but I think it's somewhere around like if there's 5 or more targets, you just don't spend combo points, and you literally just spam swipe as much as you can, and then just refresh sunfire, and then now we just go back into cat form, do the same thing. And then now that stuff's starting to die, I'll apply a rip to the high health Elder Horn, apply a rake, and then we'll do some healing, refresh sunfire, so on and so forth. And just flourish here to keep everybody healthy while I go back into cat form. Still have a healthy blade beak, so I'm going to rip and rake that one because it's going to get some healing from all the sanguine. And there we go. I guess because it is sanguine week, it may have still been worth to go balance affinity because I can typhoon stuff out of the sanguine. So it's definitely more utility there, so I didn't think about that before I joined the key. But that is okay, we will make this work. I definitely prefer cat form out over balance form anyways. I just enjoy the playstyle a lot more. I think it's a lot more engaging and fun. Heal up the tank here. And then we have a Convoke coming up, which we can definitely use this Convoke for damage. So I'm going to switch into cat form, activate Berserking, Convoke, activate Heart of the Wild. Next time I definitely wait to Convoke so that I can Heart of the Wild and then Convoke. But that's okay. Still get some good damage. We Ironbark tank. We put down our F-Low. I accidentally walked backwards into that mob a little bit early. That's why I popped Bark Skin. Tank is kind of in danger here, so I'm going to throw out pretty much every hot I have on him. Looks like he's good. You forget that he's a DK. I have this weak aura next to the DK's HP bar. I've talked about it in a lot of videos, so I'm sure you've heard about it, but it basically just tracks the runic power, and the way to think about this weak aura is when the number is above like 70 and the icon is lit up like it is right now, or it shows the Death Strike icon, that means you really don't need to be worrying about the DK at all. Like they should be able to just sustain themselves. Like right here, he'll just heal himself. I'm still going to throw some hots on him anyways, because then you'll notice the number going down, and eventually the icon turns gray when it's under like 45, I think is the number. And that's when it's essentially the weak aura is saying, hey, the DK's in danger because they do not have enough runic power to heal themselves. So that's how you kind of judge the add-on, is like the closer it is to turning gray, the more you should be thinking about healing them. And the farther away it is, like the higher number it is, the less you have to think about them. Oh, a cast went off because we weren't paying attention to the cries. Okay, we just dot up the matriarch and pretty much just focus it. Our only target. But rip and rake on it. You can still swipe for AoE damage. Go back in cat form, we can convoke here. Apply Sunfire, reapply Hots to the tank, and then we go right back into cat form, do some damage. And then as these Sunfires expire, we can jump back out, reapply Sunfire, reapply Hots to the tank, and go right back into cat form. And I'm going to save my Convoke for the boss here, just because the faster this boss dies, the better, because this is going to be the challenge of these keys, is or this key in particular, is doing the bosses. The bosses are going to be very difficult. So we're going to start in stealth, going to rake, rip, and then we will Convoke when I can get into melee here. To reapply my dots on the boss and then focus on healing a little bit here. And as Ur's dying, we can slow down on healing again and focus on damage. Where you can spell reflect, so we're still okay that we accidentally ate that portal. Up in the air. I think you can even use storming to get away from the boss and avoid the explosions. I just step out of melee here for a second just to avoid the bomb because I don't want it passed to me there. Here I can get it passed to me though, so I'm going to stand in melee. We'll bark skin, reapply dots on the boss, and then I need to start focusing on healing. Went on the rogue. Heal up the rogue a little bit here. Keep applying hots to everybody. Up. Get a couple combo points on the boss. That way we can reapply that rip here in just a little bit. Focus on healing again. Wild growth, swift mend, just using everything we have pretty much. A lot of damage from that. And we'll go ahead and wild growth here again and flourish. That's alright, they just got it passed back to them. I should have taken it earlier. I'm gonna Iron Bark myself here. I'm gonna take damage from the bomb. And then we can just Convoke here, and then like halfway through the cat form Convoke, I can switch to human form, and it'll continue the Convoke cast and do healing spells at the end. So there we still got some boss damage and got some healing at the end. And then here I can just trank with the rest because this boss is actually dying pretty quickly because Blood Decay is pumping. There we go. Blood Decay actually shreds on single target. That's insane. My boss definitely died very quickly because of that. That's like not the equivalent, but that's like why healer damage matters. That's why Venthyr Holy Paladin was so powerful this whole entire expansion, is because they could do this to bosses. And like adding a 4th DPS is just so insane. And it's the same reason why you're seeing a lot of like Blood Decays and Vengeance Demon Hunters and stuff, is because they do so much damage that just makes up for any other like negatives that they bring to the key. Just Stampeding Roar for myself because I had like the slow bug or whatever when we were coming back up. I don't know why it does that. Go cat form to run a little faster here. Sprint. Night Fae Blink 2. We just mount out here. And the only reason I mount instead of using travel form, because I'm sure I'm going to get asked about that, is because I have the shoe horns or whatever for the mount, so it runs like 10% faster. And it doesn't work for the Druid form. I don't have sockets in my legendaries either, I need to fix that. Iron Bark the tank here, throw some hots, and then go back into cat form, and we can do a damage Convoke here. Unfortunate spawn. danger. Gonna do some healing, and now the tank is definitely gonna need a little bit of help. They have a lot of runic power, but it's still, they're gonna drain through it real quickly, more than likely. Throw some hots on them. Pressure our dots on the mobs, but flow down, and then we have dying, so we don't need to worry about healing anymore. So I'll go back into doing damage. Refresh Sunfire, refresh Moonfire on both of them. Actually didn't need to refresh on that one because it's already dead. And then we just focus damage into this one. I'm gonna save Heart of the Wild for whatever we pull next, which I would assume would be this mask up here, but we'll... Mask? No? No mask. Okay, we'll probably use it for the drill. I'm assuming we're gonna kill the drill. Perhaps not. Are we skipping? Yeah, it looks like we're skipping it. Okay. We just use Heart of the Wild for this pack with the dog coming up. Then dog, press Heart of the Wild, we can convoke. And here again, if I felt like the tank was in danger, he had a lot of runic power, so we were good, but if I felt like he was in danger, I could just swap out of cat form in the middle of my convoke, and it will just cast healing spells and not cancel the convoke. But it doesn't work the other way around. So you can't start a convoke in human form and then switch to cat form. It'll cancel it if you do that. The only way that it works is if you convoke and then switch to human form. That's the only thing you can switch to in the middle of a convoke. I'm gonna throw out the battle res here. Pack is pretty gnarly, so having as many people alive as possible is definitely ideal, and having the warrior run back is not ideal. Press Barkskin since I'm kind of close to melee here. And we're really just playing whack-a-mole with the HP bars. I'll throw out a Sunfire or two if I have time, like right there. But otherwise the priority should definitely be keeping everybody full health. And like here I can just trank. I don't have much else. I do have a convoke, but we're going to use that for damage here in a second. So now I'll go in and convoke the headless clients. And I'm going to run through and disable the Shroud through. I don't have Stampeding Roar, which is very bad. It means that we probably won't make it all the way. Happens. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it all the way. Made it. Okay, nice. Really close. Next time I just need to make sure I have Stampeding Roar for that. I just didn't expect us to skip stuff, but I guess I should have looked at our percentage because it was high when we left Ardenweald. Means that we are doing the skip. There's Barkskin early on here in this bowl. Playing Whack-A-Mole again. And the way we play Whack-A-Mole as a Resto Druid is we should prioritize a bear form there since I got targeted again. Saved my life. And I'll also just health pot to be safe. But basically what we do on pulls like this that are like just abnormally dangerous compared to other pulls is you keep rejuvenation on everyone, so make sure that every single player has a rejuve, and then you just press wild growth on anybody that takes damage. But you should generally not press wild growth on people who don't have rejuve, because it's just not a very effective heal. And then we use Swiftmend as like the extra backup heal if they get targeted like twice by the essential oils and stuff like that. So this boss, it's going to be a lot of group healing whenever Millhouse is alive and the active boss, and then whenever Maleficent comes down, it becomes more of a tank healing portion of the fight. So here, again, we like follow that same pattern of keeping everybody with a rejuve on them, and then, oh my gosh, and then we use regrowth to heal them. So like here, I heal the warrior with regrowth. And then we emergency heal with Swiftmend. If I don't have Swiftmend, I press Convoke. So right now I'm just going to press Convoke. Press Wild Growth on cooldown. Again, refreshing all the rejuves on everybody, even if they're not taking damage right now. But I'm going to prioritize the mage, obviously, so I'm going to throw a regrowth. And then I can Swiftmend. I can regrowth to full heal the mage. And then now I can focus a little bit of damage before I have to really start healing, because this is like a stacking bleed that goes on the tank. I try to disable these while in melee. Keep F-flow down. So this is where tank healing is like the main thing. So we keep all of our active hots on the tank as much as possible. We avoid those big AoE stuns, and they hurt a lot. I'm going to Convoke here just to keep everybody nice and healthy. Refresh dots on the boss. And we'll get the bomb real quick. A little scary. Get the bomb again. And then now we just need to really heal the group. I'm gonna bark skin myself and then iron bark the mage. As you can see there, the mage literally would have died. And basically I base who I iron bark on. I put it on whoever has the actual explosion debuff during that intermission. Because everybody takes like an initial burst of damage from the boss, but then the person who has the circle around them is going to take even more damage because circle does damage too, and it overlaps with the group-wide damage. So it's very important to keep everybody healthy and then to use an external on the person with the circle on them. Because if they don't press something, they just die every single time, which will happen a lot in pugs. You'll just see that person just insta-die all the time. Gonna Convoke here just to keep the group nice and healthy. And it'll buy us some time to go into cat form and do a little bit of damage. Wild Growth, put an F-flow down, and now we're getting ready for tank healing. So I keep the tank with all hots on him, and then I do some damage to the boss. Get ready for this little thing and try to grab it. Go. The way you know if you can spam click to get the bombs is if the little sword icon is on the boss. Like right there, how the sword icon is on the boss. If you just spam click that, left or right click, it will get rid of the bomb. But if the sword icon isn't on the boss, like if I do this and try to click, do you see? It doesn't do it. It just targets like random allies and stuff. That's why I point my camera up and down, and then I just spam click when I see the sword icon. But if I can't see the sword icon, I wiggle around a little bit and try to like change my movement or my positioning to change up where I'm at next to the boss. Oh, somebody pulled the drill. Oh no, it's the tank. Oh well. I'm assuming he's just gonna die. See? No release out here, so it's okay. Very bad pat on the mask. We just pull it down without the tank. I'm just gonna grab it right. Okay, so we're gonna interrupt this one properly. So the way I do it is I count the masks. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Once we see 6 masks, we cast it, and look how perfectly it times it. Times it every time. I know that was like really awkward, but if you slow it down, it makes a lot more sense. So you'll see the mask spawning, and then you just count to 6. When you see the 6th mask spawn, you just press the urn, and that will always time it to where you like perfectly get the urn to interrupt the rage cast at the closest possible second. Here, this pack is probably going to hurt quite a bit, so I'm going to just open up with some damage on the Death Speaker, and then we are going to focus on healing. And then here, if I feel safe like I do right now, we will jump in and do a little bit more damage with the Convoke. Switch into human form to finish off the Convoke with some healing, because the tank was taking quite a bit of damage there. Has very little to no external or damage reduction right now. Death Speaker's in the Sanguine, feels really bad. And then once dies here, we will switch back into cat form and do some more damage. Rip and break on the Death Speaker. And the thing from the Death Speaker, the frontals, they always will prioritize a melee. So you can bait them as like the tank. So like here, if I stay in a melee, for instance, like I'll just stand right here and it'll maybe go towards me. I'll stand like towards the stairs to give an example. Nope, there it picked the, I believe it was the rogue. But yeah, it'll always pick a melee player, so unless you have no melee players. But then I'm pretty sure it picks the tank, but I could be wrong. It might have to be melee specific players. All I know is it targets melee, so if you're a melee DPS, try to face it away from your friendly range players. Do them all a favor. Same thing if you're like a melee healer, you can bait it, so. Very important to do that. It helps the range a lot, 'cause sometimes it's really hard to see those. Oh, we just let that go through. That's gonna hurt. Okay, we wild growth, and we're just going to trank early because these ton of Hakkars do not mess around. Go. Get out of the pool on the floor. Everybody gets out of the pool on the floor. Go. Just gonna do a healing convoke here. Not super ideal, and I definitely could have done a damage convoke, but I'm just gonna play it safe because we have so much time in this dungeon. Like, we're in no rush whatsoever. We could literally like wipe right now and still like have a full group wipe and still have plenty of time, even if we were to wipe to like Hakkar. Because in order to time this dungeon, we ideally would have Lust lining up with Hakkar. Like, that's how long it would take. And we are way far ahead of that, so I'm not too concerned with doing damage anymore in this dungeon. I am just going to be concerned with keeping the group alive and making sure we just get through this smoothly, even if it takes us a little bit extra time. Two chests is also doable if we like really push it, but I'm not going to be concerned about that. I'm going to press this urn right away because those devoteds I do not trust. Maybe would have kept them interrupted, but I'm just gonna use the urn there. We don't need it for this next pack. Usually you earn that, the past 2 packs that we just pulled, you usually just pull them together and earn, but in pugs it's usually not that common unless you're doing like 20s or higher, you'll probably start seeing it. I'm gonna iron, no I don't have iron bark, never mind. Thought we had iron bark. Dot these guys so that it doesn't waste, because Convoke will pick Moonfire if targets don't have Moonfire. So we Moonfire all of them, and then we go in cat form and Convoke, and then we don't get as many Moonfires, if any at all. We'll only try to put Moonfire on targets that don't currently have it. Just redotting, and we'll put stuff on the tank. F flow down, and then we go right back into cat form. Same as always. Apply hots, play cat form. Or if we need more healing output, we apply hots and then heal. It's almost like you're picking between pressing regrowth and going into cat form. Like, that's the way that you should be thinking about it. Resto Druid is always apply hots to whoever's taking active damage. This is so awkward. And then either start pressing regrowth if you need more healing. Press a healing cooldown if you need more healing after that. It's like a ladder of things to do, right? Need to make like a graphic or something showing all the, like that meme where it shows all the different paths that you take, like a step-by-step guide. I'm gonna be greedy, and we're gonna press a Convoke for damage here on Hakkar. Definitely risky, but we're gonna do it. Now we're going to pick up the group. Oh boy, we shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have done it. Res the rogue. Alright, we don't throw this yet. Iron Bark tank. Put rejuve on everybody because this is a fight where everyone is gonna be taking damage as the fight continues. Going to wild growth here. Spamming regrowth on the players that have the bleeds on them. Swift mending if they need more than that. And now we have active. So I will apply some dots. I'm gonna drink a mana potion here. Wild growth on CD pretty much. We have F flow down already, so we don't really need to worry about it. Try to dip my toes into this F flow so that I can get the spring blossoms. Wild growth again. And for this blood barrier, I'm going to bark skin myself, and then I'll convoke. To top everybody off after that blood barrier. We're all nice and healthy so that we don't randomly die. Oh, we pass it to me at the very last second. That is so unlucky. Gonna put F flow down in melee again. Where things start getting real dangerous. This is gonna start getting really bad. We don't have Lust, so it's like actually really scary. I'm gonna trank here. Hopefully I don't die. Yeah, I die there. Damn. Kind of risky, but take the B-res. Don't die, warrior. Regrowth the warrior. Ironbark the mage. No, I had a health pot too. I could have health potted. This fight's really hard without Lust.
Die, mortal. Face the wrath of the Soulflayer.
That looks like they might kill it. Shouldn't tell the tank that he should probably die, because this is going to actually take forever if he tries to solo it. There we go. Now we have Lust, so we should be fine. That fight's just very, very hard on Tyrannical without Lust, so we were just pushing like too fast through the dungeon. Did not get Lust up. The more ideal thing would technically to just be to sit there and wait until our Lust is back up, because it's not like we were going to try to two-chest the key anyways. So it's better to just wait for Lust and just kind of AFK and then do it, rather than like using all our CDs and stuff and then coming back, and some of us are going to have like misaligned CDs. Not waste of time. But we got plenty of time still. So we are all good. Food buff. Versatility will help me a lot here. I have 9% versatility.
His power is mine. I
Oh.
will
We didn't get our verse buff. Hold too soon. I'm just gonna convoke for healing right off the bat. We're like already taking a ton of damage. Again, regrowths or rejuve on everybody, and then we're regrowthing the people with the debuff to kind of keep them topped up. Regrowth the tank when he gets hit by the tank hit. Press Spark Skin for the blood barrier. Wild growth. Rejuve everybody. Innervate myself here so we save a little bit of mana. And again, we're just spamming regrowth on the people with the debuff. Here we have buff, so I'll go into Heart of the Wild and use this to do some damage. Downtime, and we'll do a Convoke on the boss too, because this will be nice for damage. And then we'll go back into healing. So I'm going to Ironbark myself, because we have a Blood Barrier coming up and I'm not very healthy. Now we are just dodging these while healing, just getting a couple regrowths in, Swift Mend. Now we have Lust, that's very good. We put Efflo in melee. Again, rejuve on everybody, even though we're not taking damage right now. It's important to just keep everyone overly healthy. Spamming regrowth on the players that need it. We have a lot of mana here, so we're totally fine to just like spend extra mana. Arc Skin for this blood barrier. Flourish here. And we trank after regrowthing ourselves to make sure that we stay healthy while we trank, unlike the last time. And now we wild growth. We F-flow kind of in melee. Spamming regrowth on the people that need it with these debuffs. And now we have a Convoke, which I will use right now. It's all healthy. Doing it as a heal Convoke. We're definitely going to get another blood barrier, so I need to keep us healthy here. And we health pot. And we wild growth. Keep everybody alive here, and we dodge swirlies. And we stop dying. Holy moly, man. That starts getting out of control real quick. I think they're going to be okay. I really hope. Oh, no. Oh, no. Not like this. Come on, Blood DK, you can do it. Come on, Blood DK, you can do it. Nice job. Let's go. Woohoo. Holy moly. Okay. Just explaining to them the two-phase strat, just to see if they want to do it. The two-phase strat makes this fight a lot easier to deal with.
Chance you'll be having against me. It be Mueh'zala who brought Hellier to the jailer's side. Struck a deal for old Odin's eye, and made the Banshee war chief without his hand.
I don't even know what our strategy is. Kind of just going into it, I guess. This fight... Oh my... Barkskin here, because I'm going to actually die to this. Wild growth, put rejuve on everybody. I was going to say this boss has the same concept as Hakkar and the other boss, pretty much all the bosses in this dungeon now that I'm thinking about it, where you want to just have rejuve on every single person, and then you kind of just use regrowth and healing cooldowns as like a supplement to your rejuice. Like here we'll start regrowthing everybody. We can swift mend as like kind of the emergency heal to whoever's lowest. That's not good. And then now I'm gonna convoke. We're all pretty low, and I have to move while healing. Wild growth. I'm actually stressed out in this dungeon. This is hard. I'm gonna just dispel myself here so I don't bring the debuff with me. And I always dot the boss before we leave. I'm just gonna Heart of the Wild here, even though we definitely don't need... Oh yeah, wow, the mage literally popped every cooldown he has. This thing's gonna die way too fast. Very unfortunate. The whole point of the two-phase strat is so that people can use their cooldowns on the boss rather than on these ads, because then the boss ends up dying a lot smoother. That's okay. Probably fine. You just can't die because we don't have B-res, so that's why it's scary to fight the boss with this. Letting them know it's the same side, same groups. Got the boss up here. I'm going to save my Convoke for healing for sure, because this fight is terrifying. And again, we have plenty of time. It's more of just a matter of making sure that we stay alive and don't lose anybody before. I'm just going to Convoke here with a ton of overhealing just to help out and get it on cooldown. The only thing I'll be doing is pretty much dotting the boss, and other than that, maybe cast a Wrath or so. Oh no. Hate to see it. I think I go with the rogue front right and just try to help him. I don't know if he can solo it. Probably can with flagellation, but this is not... This is quite the turn of events. That might mean we don't get to time the key. But we will see. The boss is still very healthy. He's still 4% HP. Which is, I mean, that's a lot of HP. Burn through. Alright, we're just gonna have to poke this thing. Gonna rake, rip, poke. Just gonna Barkskin here just in case something happens to where I get hit by something. Wanna just insta-die. Yeah, rogue does a ton of damage tonight. Go. I got theirs too, so we're all good. But now we have to kill the boss in 2 minutes with him still having a lot of HP because we haven't been using cooldowns on him. We've been using cooldowns in the intermission. Should be okay in theory, but we'll see. 3% health to burn through. Not too bad. It's just any random deaths is the problem. I focus on healing a lot here again. I'm gonna just Ironbark myself since I'm the one taking the most damage here. DK's been holding his own pretty well. The Hot's on the tank. I go in cat form here and Convoke damage. I'll switch back into human form, the F-Flow and melee. Focus on healing again. I'll press Bark Skin. I should have Bark Skinned like when we had those devos, but that's okay. It'll overlap with this one here. Step in the back here. Call myself. Apply dots. Boss needs to start dying, but we also need to make sure that no one dies in our group. Still gonna do my job and just focus on healing, and we should have plenty of time to do 0.3% in 30 seconds. That should be good. Yeah, we'll be fine. There we go. We did it. A wipe on Hakkar and 221 eye level. No sockets in our legendaries. We did do it. Oh, that was scary. Cool, that was fun. Let's do a 19 next.